Hello, everyone. Welcome. I feel like I haven't talked to all of you in ages. Go through on my side, I'm watching the ad so that I can see what you are seeing in your experience. All right. Perfect. Hey there, Tesla Talk. Welcome. Allure February 9th. Hopefully you got a good price on your drink package. I know they fluctuate a little bit. I haven't bought one in years, but hopefully you got a decent price on that. Let me know if you all can hear me to start with. I'm always curious if the microphone's working and you can see me. Pretty sure you can see me, but can you hear me as well? If you let me know in the comments or in the chat function, I should say. And we'll get started as people are gathering. Looks like we got a few folks here. Hey, everyone. Looks like my comments are a little delayed on this side, but that's all right. Hey, Adam, Andrew. Yeah, Tesla Talk, when you think of the overall price for a ship or for a cruise, you got to put it all into perspective, right? Sometimes you're going to find a lower drink package, a more expensive cruise. Sometimes you're going to find a more expensive cruise and a lower drink package. It'll all hopefully flush out at the end of the day. Hey there, Michael. Who else do we have here, and where are you from? One of my favorite things to do when I am chatting with you all is just hear where you're from, get to know you a little bit. I know you're taking time out of your Sunday afternoon, maybe Sunday evening if you're over in the UK, somewhere in Europe. But thank you all for joining. We'll jump in just a little bit, but let me know, where is everyone from? I'm always curious if you're more Floridians, if you're Europeans, the Canadians. Hopefully we have a good mix of everyone. Mr. Penny Pincher from Chicago. I should take some notes from you then on how to save some money so I can cruise more. Or maybe retire early. I think that's the key at this point for me, is I gotta retire so I can cruise more. Yeah, Tesla Talk. We're certainly going to talk about Hideaway Beach today. That'll be the first topic that we go into. I'm excited for that as well. Hi there from Ohio. Slotomaniac. Sounds like a casino player there. Welcome. And Andrew, we are neighbors. You are right up the street these days. Michael, still in Boston, and then heading to Wonder of the Seas in 35 days. So hopefully you have an amazing trip. Diane, you're watching from an airplane? I'm pretty surprised that it can stream, and I forget that I can show these to you all. So let me turn off one other thing. Let's see if I can do this. It's amazing how I'm always still to do. I meant to do that one. There we go. Diane, you're watching from a plane. I'm pretty impressed with Southwest if they have a Wi-Fi in the air that works that well. That's pretty cool. 62 per person for a drink package, Tesla Talk. Not bad at all. So well done in locking that in. Hey there, Janet in Ocala. And John, have I tried any of the food offerings at Vitality Spa? Their homemade granola bars were amazing. You know, I don't go to Oasis class ships that much, which is the only place you're going to find the Vitality Cafe. What I do normally get there, though, is I enjoy their protein drinks. So they'll make a little protein smoothie with protein powder after I work out. So that I enjoy. But I've never eaten a lot there. They do have a coffee machine as well, which I should probably take up on. But I honestly just don't go to the Oasis of the Seas or Oasis class ships enough to be able to talk to their food offerings. But it sounds like I'm going to need to try the granola bar next time I am there. I will be taking the Allure of the Seas, so I'll use that as a good transition. We've got the Allure of the Seas coming up for our second group cruise, the inaugural weekend sailing for Allure of the Seas. So that is an Oasis class ship that will allow me to go up to the Vitality Cafe and use my drink coupon. So I'm excited for the bigger ships to start taking on the weekend cruises. I'm, optimistic on how it's going to work, cautiously optimistic on how it's going to work. But I just went out and priced what the Allure of the Seas is going for right now. And it is actually a really good price right now. So if you are looking at coming with us on the inaugural sailing of the weekend, or the inaugural sailing weekend cruise for Allure of the Seas, the prices aren't bad. And these can always fluctuate, but it looks like double occupancy right now is around $375. And balconies are even going for $455 per person double occupancy. So those can always fluctuate a little bit. Down below is the Jot link form. That'll be what you fill out to tell the travel agent to reach out and to see if you want to come with us. I know a lot of people got really interested in the group cruise when we started talking about the solo cruiser frequently asked questions document. One that I put together just on, if somebody's going on a solo cruise, what do they need to know? There's a lot of anxiety and fear that may come with going on your first solo cruise, or maybe even your fifth solo cruise, and wanted to talk about some of those. But I concluded it with, and look, if you want to go on a solo cruise, but you aren't really sure you want to go by yourself, come on one of the group cruises. This is a great way, coming on the Weekend Cruisers group cruise, to meet some really great people. Because I cruise by myself, I make solo cruise content, you're also going to find other solo cruisers there. And we are a fantastic time. The last one that we did, we had about 20 folks on it. And we are still in touch with each other. We still have a WhatsApp chat going on. It is a really great group of people. We meshed really, really well. And so I'm very excited to be going back to the Allure of the Seas for the second Weekend Cruiser group cruise. It is a weekend cruise. I would love to do a longer cruise so that, those people that fly in wouldn't feel like it is just a 3-night, very quick sailing. But alas, this is the Weekend Cruiser. So we're doing a weekend cruise. So if you want to join us, we would love to have you on the Allure of the Seas with us on November 3rd. It is coming up. I know a lot of you put off planning what you want to do, but the price is actually really good for this. I'm kind of surprised. I went in expecting it to be much higher, but that is not bad at all. So if you do want to join us, make sure that you are going to that JotForm link down in the description. I'll also post it in the comments after this for everyone to be able to see that. But let our travel agent know that you are interested. Give him the phone number, best time to call, and he will reach out to you to go over what those full options are for you to be able to join us. Tesla Talk, you've booked the Icon. It's funny. I don't know if you all remember this or not. I made a video on how I have no desire to book the Icon of the Seas. I get asked if I've booked the Icon all the time, and I'm confident I'll get there one of these days just to do a check the box exercise. But the Icon of the Seas is not pressing my buttons. It is just not the cruise ship designed for me. I'll get there one of these days. If nothing else, I want to get the ship model because I collect the ship models. You'll have to let us know how it is. Maybe once people start going on the Icon of the Seas, it'll relinquish some of my fear and anxiety that I have about going on such a large ship geared towards families. But right now, I'm gonna stay to the smaller ships, I think, is where I'm gonna be at. And Kristen, you're on Freedom. Welcome. So please tell everybody that I said hello. I do miss them. I will be back on Freedom 2 weeks. I'm actually going to Virgin Voyages this week. So I'll be there for a few days and then heading back to Freedom of the Seas. So please tell everybody that I said hello, especially my Cafe Promenade people. That's where I hang out the most, grabbing some coffees. So very excited. Andrew is coming with us on the Weekend Cruiser group cruise. So November 3rd, 47 days until the Allure. Super excited. Andrew is one of the folks that also is coming on the second one. So had a great time, luckily, and we're going to do it all over again. So Janet, you were doing the Margaritaville at Sea cruise, it sounds like that. At least that's the only one I know out of West Palm Beach on 10/5. You have to let me know how that is. I've looked at doing that a few times and have not made it over there yet. Their website doesn't like solo travelers. So I go in, put in one, and it goes, oh, we're all sold out. Like, due to high demand, we don't do solo cruisers. And so I haven't gone there yet. I would love to go. It's like the ultimate weekend cruise if that is who you're actually doing. But I would love to check that out. At least that's what I think WB West Palm Beach Cruise, I think is what the C stands for there. But hopefully you have a blast. Let us know how that goes. Diane vouching for the Allure of the Seas. I'm excited to get back to the Allure. I have done a 7-night sailing on her before. But she's a little bit nicer than some of the other ones that are out there. So I am excited for that. Tesla, I don't know what the drink package is currently on that saying. I could pull it up, but I'll mention it down in the comments at the end of this, unless somebody wants to add it to the chat that's going on here. If somebody can pull it up, like Andrew or somebody else is on the sailing with us. You know, definitely so weekend cruises, I mentioned those people that live far away and you got to fly in. Andrew's mentioning a great strategy here that you can do for short sailings. Don't come for just one. You can still turn a 3-nighter into a 7-night, or even my personal favorite, a 10-night sailing, where you do the 3-night, the 4-night, and then you stick around for the next weekend on the 3-night. So that is something that I would really encourage you all. If you are flying in, make it worth your while. Come stay for a little bit of time. You don't have to do just one cruise and be done. You can always come and stay for 2, 3, even more if you want to. If you are on a big ship, so when you're talking here about Anna, do you need a reservation for the entertainment on board Royal Caribbean specifically? I'll speak to them because I think that that's who your question here is about. You don't really need reservations for a theater show, an entertainment show with Royal Caribbean. The only times that you will need a reservation is going to be when you are on the bigger ship. So if you're on an Oasis class or a Quantum class ship, you're going to want to make sure that you do get reservations as soon as you get onto the ship, especially for the Aqua show. So make sure that is the first show that you try to see, because if the last show, if they have bad weather, if it's rocking a little bit and they can't put on that Aqua show, you're going to miss it. So try to get the very first reservation for the Aqua show if you can. That'll be the place you're going to want to go to. The theater shows on Quantum, if you're going to 270, you're also going to want to make sure that you have those. For the most part, the other ones, you'll always be able to get in. Ice skating on the larger ships is probably one where you'll also want to get it. But if you're on anything Freedom class or lower, you're not going to need reservations. You should be able to just show up and enjoy the show. John, this is another reason why I've not booked Icon. It does not sound like it is a cruise ship that is designed for me. And I don't feel like paying a premium to on a cruise ship that I don't know that I'm going to have a good time. So I completely get that. Andrew, I'm going to have to ask, what happened with Virgin lost you as a customer? I'm curious how that's going, what went on there, especially so I can investigate it while I am there on this next sailing that I'm getting ready to go on. Janet, I would love to go on a Disney sailing. They do weekend cruises out of Port Canaveral, actually. But the prices are ridiculous for that. So I would love to do that. Disney's always great when they're here in Port Miami, because from my house, I can hear them playing their horns, and they play certain songs. And I think it's, I shouldn't even try to sing it. But they play songs from their smokestacks, their horns, which I enjoy hearing out there from the Port of Miami. I would love to do one of their weekend cruises, but it would eat my entire budget for probably 2 or 3 months to make that happen. John, the Nassau Port walking tour is done for a video. It's done fantastically well. Normally, YouTube doesn't care much about ports. Specifically, it doesn't care about Nassau ports or things to do in Nassau. And so I'm really surprised that the video has done as well as it has. But I thought the port is very, very well done. I'm excited for them to open up the remainder of their shops and get back there and try it. I'm thinking about, and let me know what you all think about this, is, should I go in and do some highlights of some of the stores in the ports? I personally would love to highlight the gelato store as well as the Grey Cliff store, because they've got ice cream that looks and sounds really, really good. So I'm an ice cream fan through and through. It runs in my bloodline. So that's something that I'd like to do, is just feature some of those stores. I'm also on the Facebook page for the cruise port at Nassau. They've done a few videos like this for the clothing stores. Not sure I really go into that, because that's just not something that personally interests me. But I think there's a lot more that we can do there. Glad the buses are well organized. Anna, are you on? I forget if you're commenting to something else. I feel like we chatted earlier. Oh, you're asking for Liberty of the Seas for your question. Perfect. Sorry, my chat scroll's a little bit slow today for some reason. Andrew, thank you for the drink package there. Hey, Maria M. John, yeah, this is the Aqua show, and getting those reservations is a tough one. That is a tough lesson learned if you go for the last one, and it gets a little bit rocky on your way back to your home port. That is never a good thing. Do I prefer the main dining or on RC or the dining arrangement on Celebrity Beyond? You know, Wayne and Betty, I have not been on many celebrity sightings. I've only been on one. I've been on the Celebrity Summit for a 12-night South American cruise. So I've not been on the Beyond yet or those Edge class ships, but I have friends that swear by those cruise ships. They are designed well. They look really good. And some people really, really like them. But I can't say, you know, what my personal preference is between Celebrity and Royal Caribbean main dining at this point, because I just don't have enough information to go on. What I will say is for Royal Caribbean, I am a huge fan of traditional seating. I am not a my time dining seating. It's too complex, too many lines, too many things that can go wrong. And so if you are looking at going on Royal Caribbean and looking at whether you want the early, the late, or the my time dining, choose anything but the my time dining. That would be my advice to you there, is choose anything but my time dining, especially if you're coming on a short cruise. By the time you figure out the my time dining process, the cruise is going to be over and you wasted most of your dinner standing in a line trying to get into the dining room. Virgin's next cruise offer, and their next cruise offer used to be really good. They would give you tons of onboard credit. So I'm really surprised that they're limiting that to their balconies are higher, not saying that. At least, you know, do like Royal Caribbean does or Celebrity and give you a lower onboard credit for an interior or an ocean view room versus saying it only starts at balcony and up. That's a really interesting move at their point. I'd be curious to see the price difference between the two. I think it's actually fairly substantial, like by $500 or $600 to be able to move up to an ocean view balcony, which I say is substantial. Might not be too terribly huge, but I get why you may not want to be doing that. I think the aqua shows are my absolute favorite on the ship. So make sure that you are getting reservations to those. Whatever the aqua show is that they have on the ship, there's different ones for the different Oasis class ships, but they are all amazing. Janet, that's exactly what I kind of think of is, you know, shorter cruises sometimes will be a premium, but overall, I'm paying less. There's a premium per day, but overall, because I'm only going for 3 days at a time, the cruises never really cost too terribly much. And if you're good at planning, you pay attention to the prices, there's some good deals to be had out there. I'm already booking into 2025 now because I'm finding some solo cabins out there that are giving me a really good deal as a solo cruiser that I really, really like. Dad Bear, I agree with you on this. If you want to meet people on a cruise, you know, one of the things I talked about in the solo cruiser FAQ is how do you meet people when you're on a ship? The dining room is a place you can do that. Not everybody wants to meet people. When you solo cruise, sometimes you want to meet people, sometimes you just want to hang out by yourself. Sometimes when you're with, you know, a group of people, you don't want to meet others, vice versa. But asking and making sure that you're going to the maitre d', confirming that you're sitting at a table of 8, table of 10, great way to meet other people and build a bit of a relationship because you're going to see them every night for a few hours. All right, so let's talk about Hideaway Beach from here. And I keep calling it Hideaway Bay, so apologies if I say that, but this is the latest and breaking news from Royal Caribbean. Let me share my screen. Well, let me talk a little bit first, and then I'll come back and share my screen. So when it comes to Hideaway Beach, I called it. You all know that there were rumors out there that Hideaway Beach was going to be complimentary. It was going to be free, just like the Oasis Lagoon, Chill Island. It was going to be free. And I never understood those rumors that it was going to be free. Royal Caribbean is not in the business these days of building anything that is complimentary at this point. If they are building anything, adding anything to their ships, it is going to come at an additional charge. And Hideaway Beach is going to be no exception to this rule whatsoever. The images of it look stunning, though. I will say it looks very, very nice. But the prices that I'm seeing for it, there's a few cruises that are already showing it. It's scheduled to open later in 2024. I think Q1 is what they're targeting. They keep pushing it off because it's just not completed. But the prices I'm seeing right now are about $70 per person to be able to get access into Hideaway Beach. If you want one of the cabanas, they will absolutely give you a higher end experience. And we'll talk about that here in a second. You're looking at $1,500, $2,000 to be able to make that experience happen. These are what I would call introductory rates. So the CocoCay Beach Club used to be in line with those rates. But recently, we've been seeing CocoCay Beach Club at $125 per person, up to $200 per person because of the dynamic pricing. And I think that this is going to be a similar situation where we're going to look at the Hideaway Beach and we're going to see the price continue to go up. Right now, nobody's really booked into Hideaway Beach, so they've got plenty of supply, not that much demand. But as we see people's buying the packages, the price on it, it's going to go up. So I would not be surprised if in very short order, it's going to be $100 per person or higher to be able to enjoy this experience. So it is going to be a really, interesting section, I'll say. But let me share with you. I was thinking about the best way to kind of share with you Hideaway Beach information. I figured, why not just head over to RoyalCaribbean.com and share with you what Royal Caribbean is actually talking about. So let me make sure that everyone can see this real quick. I'm going to play over here and see if I can come to where this is live. And perfect, you can see me and the screen. So Hideaway Beach is going to be an adults-only experience. So when we think about adults-only experience, it means different things to different people, I'm learning. So when we come down here, the first thing that we see is all adults, all party, all day. So what I think they're trying to do in the messaging here, and I'm going to come down and kind of show you, the pictures here are just stunning. It looks like it's going to be a really, really good section. It's partly called Hideaway Beach because it's not going to be easy to find. I don't know if you're going to have to do a tram only. This right here on the left looks like a tram entrance where it can come in and circle. I don't know if they're going to have any way to walk to Hideaway Beach. It'll be interesting to see how this is built out. It is on the backside of the CocoCay dormitory where the staff are housed when they come and stay for a few months. It's on the backside of that. So I'd be surprised if they allow us to walk to this area. Funny story, the rocks over here, I walked on all these rocks years ago. Before CocoCay was, all built up, you could actually walk around the entire island. Yes, they probably had signs that said, keep out, do not enter, but it was a beautiful experience to be able to walk around the entire island, enjoy nature. It was a really, really good time. But if we come down here and look more at, the adult-only description, and so this is what I'm going for to try to figure out who is this designed for. I love helping people figure out, is this a good fit for you or is it not a good fit for you? And so when we think about adults only here, again, can't stop, won't stop. So it's the party vibe. So what they're really going for here, it's a party vibe is what they're going for. Sun-soaked DJ sets, swim up bars. It's going to be, I think I saw in one place, like a Las Vegas style day club. So if you think of the Las Vegas resorts that have their pools, they'll bring in a DJ, they've got bottle service, they've got alcohol everywhere, they've got great music, people dancing. That's going to be what the expectation of Hideaway Beach is going to be. It's going to be an expectation of you are here to party, to enjoy your drink package, and have a good time. I'm not saying that that's what you're going to have to do. I'm just saying that if all this marketing that they're doing here around partying and DJ-fueled mashups are coming true, it's going to be a party central vibe, which I find a little bit interesting. So the reason I say that, and we'll get into a little bit more of some of these details here, is, I feel like CocoCay is going to get a little bit segregated when it comes to ages. So I always say, who is the client profile, the guest profile that Royal Caribbean is targeting when it comes to Hideaway Beach? And I think that it's really targeting 30 and 40-year-olds to give them their own kind of spot. That is the target demographic. Can you be 85 and can you be 18 and still get into this section? Yes. but I don't think that that's really who they're appealing to in this. I think they're going for 30 to 40-year-olds because number one, it's going to be an add-on fee of, $70 to $100 per person. If you were in that 18 to 30-year-old slot, you're probably going to be a little bit more budget conscious and not really want to pay the extra money to have this experience. When you get into, let's say, the 40 plus area, that's where you're going to want to see, a little bit of a calmer, more zen environment. And that's where CocoCay Beach Club is really going to come into play for people looking for a calmer, more quiet experience where they can truly enjoy nature, the water, laying out, reading a book. I don't think Hideaway Beach is going to be that. What it does have me asking, though, is what's going to happen at Oasis Lagoon? Oasis Lagoon, I have always described it the exact same way that Royal Caribbean is describing Hideaway Beach. So I'm curious what the vibe over at the Oasis Lagoon is going to be, and how is that going to change when this opens? Are they still going to have a DJ over at the Oasis Lagoon? And if so, it's going to be that 80 to 30-year-old crowd probably with some other folks mixed in. I also feel like there might be an opportunity for them to make the Oasis Lagoon more kid-friendly. They do have the shallow end where you can walk in, but I think that, if we're making one section more adults only, it may make sense for them to offset that by making the Oasis Lagoon a little bit more kid-friendly. Don't know that that's going to happen. That is certainly me just, hypothetically speaking on this, but I'll be very curious to see how Hideaway Beach evolves. One thing that I do think is very hilarious is eats between beats. So again, the music, the party vibe continues into the food. At CocoCay Beach Club, you know that they have lobster, they've got shrimp, they've got steak. Their menu at CocoCay Beach Club is fantastic. So I do expect CocoCay Beach Club to stay at a higher premium only because they're going to need to offset the food cost that, their food over there is fantastic at CocoCay Beach Club. I love their food over there. At Hideaway Beach, though, guess what they're doing? They have finally found a way to charge us for pizza. That is right. They are going to be serving us pizza at, what do they call it? The Slice of Paradise. They are now charging us to have pizza. They joked about this, a month ago, I think? Well, their dreams have finally come true. Nobody's actually really talking about this, which I find to be very funny. But they're charging us for pizza. Everybody thought it was a joke. They came out saying, oh, we're not going to do that. Guess what they're doing? If you want to eat pizza on CocoCay, you're going to have to pay $70 to $100 a person in order to enjoy the luxury of having what I hope is a stepped up pizza from Sorrento's. But I'm all about paying for pizza. If you make it a really good pizza and I go, wow, this is something I want to pay for. And I'm hopeful that that's what's going to flow through in Hideaway Beach is really, really good pizza, because you are now paying for pizza. You're also saying, I don't want to go to the CocoCay Beach Club and get the lobster, the shrimp, the filet mignon that they've got on their menu. I'm going to opt to go for pizza and pay about $30 less. I'm not sure that the math is going to make sense if you're not looking at the experience and just looking at what you're going to be doing there. It'd be interesting how that plays out. They're also, this one, I scratched my head out a little bit. They're bringing in the Snack Shack. I don't know why. They've already got 3 different Snack Shacks. No, 2 different ones. Chill Island, and then you've got one at South Beach. This will be the 3rd Snack Shack that they're going to have. And it looks like it's going to be serving the exact same things, including the funnel cakes. I don't necessarily know why in a upper tier, higher paid area, they're putting in a complimentary food service that all of us are going to have. Granted, a lot of people swear by the funnel cakes. They have to have it every single time they go. Maybe that's why they're trying to offset it. But I feel like that's just kind of cutting corners a wee little bit to bring in a complimentary food option into a paid venue. I'm not sure how that's going to work over. Makes me think that they might not have enough pizza to go around to a certain degree, and they want to make sure people have another option should they just not have pizza coming up. The cabana life here. So the cabanas, let me show you where they're going to be. So I'm going to scroll back up. They're going to be in this section over here to the right. And the cabanas over here look amazing. So is there a better picture? I think there was somewhere. Let's see. Here we go. This one over on the right. So if you want to level up what you're doing at Hideaway Beach, this is going to be a spot for you. This is going to be true VIP treatment. And I think this would probably be the best cabana area. Arguably, depending on what you like, the overwater cabanas are really nice. I probably would really prefer this one here because you're going to have your own infinity pool in the cabana area. So it is located where others aren't going to be able to get to. It is going to be in a cabana only section. So you're going to have that VIP access to your cabana, and then you can get into the water that is going to overlook the beach and some other chairs. And it's going to have that beautiful infinity look to it, which I think is going to be really, really nice. So if you are looking for a high-end CocoCay experience, my personal opinion, if you are, everyone's over the age of 18, of course, this is going to give the overwater cabanas a run for their money. And I'll be curious to see how the prices start to differ if the overwater cabanas price out more than, the VIP treatment here at Hideaway Beach to give you the cabanas. That's going to be, I think, really, really interesting to me on how that works out. Here you can see some of the pizza, some of the Snack Shack favorites that they've got. I still love the grilled chicken at the Snack Shack, by the way. Comes on the salad, so you have to talk nice to them, but you can get a grilled chicken sandwich there, which I think is fantastic. So that is Hideaway Beach. What do you all think? So am I off my rocker on some of my assumptions or my thoughts there? Let's see what you're throwing into the comments to see, if I'm on point here. I'd love that you all keep me honest. If I'm saying something that makes absolutely no sense, you all will certainly put that in the comments. So let's take a quick look and see how everything's going there. Yeah, Pamela, I think when people heard adults only, they thought that it was going to be like a solarium, a calm area where they have birds and crickets playing in the morning. And that's not what it's going to be. It is going to be a day club party crowd. It'll be very, very interesting to see how this plays out. If you want to read a book, if you want to relax, Hideaway Beach, the adults only section, is not going to be for you. I will say that, in thinking through this, it's targeting people that probably would really like Virgin Voyages. So if you think of who Virgin Voyages is appropriate for, Hideaway Beach sounds like it's targeting the same demographic of people as Virgin Voyages. And Virgin Voyages, I'm going on it again this week, is a party crowd. It is a sophisticated party crowd. It is an older party crowd because I'd say the average age is 30s and 40s there. But it is certainly a party hardy crowd. So it'll be interesting to see how that works with Virgin. That is a trick to my time dining, I would say, Lacey. If you're doing my time, make sure you're going early. I think that is a good way just to make sure that everything goes as it should. Talk to the maitre d's as soon as you get there. Get your reservations, and you're going to be good to go. Dynamic pricing that Royal does with Royal Math, it doesn't matter what the discounts are. So if you all are looking at booking something with Royal Caribbean, whether it's the cruise, it's the drink package, it's a short excursion, you're going to see flashing signs, bells and whistles, 30% off, buy one, get one free. Pay no attention to that. Royal Math says that the price is going to be what the price is. They're going to throw discounts on it. They're going to change things up. At the end of the day, it's dynamic pricing, and it's going to be whatever that price is going to be. You may see what looks like a better sale. It may go from 30% to 40% discount. The price may go up because the base price changes. So if you find something that looks like a good price to you, kind of like Tesla did earlier, make sure that you're going ahead and booking it, especially if it's a drink package short excursion. If it goes down, you can always call them and say, hey, I want to price it at the lower one, and they will refund you your money to make that happen. John, again, Icon of the Sea is not for me because there's so many people there, so many people with a lot of money. Because to go on Icon, you need a little bit of wealth to be able to go on there because you are paying a premium to make that happen. They recognize that you've got a little bit of disposable income, and they're going to be charging you appropriately for probably everything on that ship, from drink packages, Wi-Fi, what am I going for? The Thrill Water Park. Everything is going to be crazy price, but $300 a person, it's not, to me, it is not worth that to just get into CocoCay Beach Club. Adam, $90, not a horrible price. From comparing it to what I've seen for CocoCay Beach Club, not bad to see that being what Hideaway Beach is going for on Icon's inaugural. But again, I think it's going to be going up. As people book that, I think it's going to be going up. Sig Cruiser, you're going to have to let us know what you think. When did you book that? I'm curious. But let us know what you think of Hideaway Beach. And if this is all true, I mean, I'm certainly making things up right now, looking at their marketing, trying to piece together who are they appealing to? Who's going to want to go to this spot? And you know what? Everybody could be like you. They may hear that marketing and say, you know what? I'm still going to give it a try because I want to read my book. I want to have a kid-free setting that I can enjoy. And it might wind up being people like me and you who are not going to be the huge partiers. And so that vibe may very well change. So I'll be curious to see if their marketing truly pulls that crowd in, or if that crowd says, you know what, we're just going to stay over at the Oasis Lagoon, enjoy the DJ there, and they have a swim up bar. It is not that much different of an experience from the Oasis Lagoon. That again is why I think the Oasis Lagoon experience could be changing a little bit. You know, you say it's without kids, but me and my friends have a running joke, Lisa, that when parents go on vacation on a cruise ship, they often go on vacation from their kids as well. So their kids will be running amok somewhere and they're on vacation. The parents are just doing their own thing. I would not be surprised if some parents booked Hideaway Beach Club just to get away from their kids and allow their kids to go enjoy and do something else. I'm curious if Royal is going to put any stipulations in place where if you have a minor on the ship, you will not be permitted to book Hideaway Beach. That'll be very interesting. Yeah, Andrew, I think Oasis Lagoon could be going more kid/family friendly. Would not be surprised. Oh, Lisa, I should have used Pizzagate. Well played on that one. Adam saying that Hideaway Beach is coming in at $44. That is a really good price. Adam, I would book that. For $44, I would check the box and see what it's like. At least that way, when it finally does make it up to $100 on that sailing, you'll know that, hey, I don't need to do that because you've already done it at $44 and you valued it where you think it is going to be appropriate. The third is in the water park. Oh, you were right. I forgot about Thrill Water Park does have a third one. I normally don't get tickets to Thrill Water Park, so I don't see that. But I was right in my first one. There are 3, Chill Island, South Beach. Thrill Water Park has a snack shack. Now we're getting a 4th one over in the upcharge area of Hideaway Beach. You know, Pamela, I am all about splurges. Like, one thing I'm very cautious on this channel to do is never say that, you know, something is not worth it. It might not be worth it to me, but, you know, I've certainly done the Overwater Cabana back when we had started back up over pre-COVID. Me and my friends pulled our assets, we pulled our money, and we made that splurge happen because it was at what we thought was a reasonable price. But prices change, things go up. I personally would not pay for, you know, the Overwater Cabana right now at $2,000+. But it doesn't mean to say that other people wouldn't do that and find a lot of value in being able to pay that. So it is all relative at the end of the day. I am very excited to hear, though, you'll have to write me and let me know how you enjoy the cabana at Hideaway Beach, especially that swim up pool or the infinity pool they're going to have directly in front of your cabana. I think that's going to be a really, really nice touch. Kevin, welcome back to the live. I've actually not done one in quite a while, so I'm pretty excited to be back chatting with you all to go through some of this. And it's November 3rd for the group cruise, but I would love to see you on there. Just make sure you're completing the JotForm and going through the travel agent. As it is a group cruise, you do have to book through the travel agent to be included in all the events and the activities, but would love to have you. Prices, again, are really, really good for today. Can't promise anything about tomorrow and as we get closer, but for today, it's actually a really good value to get Allure of the Seas style amenities and shows for the price that it's going for. We will see if they make another. I don't know what the next plan is for CocoCay. Once they finish Hideaway Beach, I'm not sure if there's anything on the docket that they're going to create after this. One thing that was on the docket that I thought was going to happen, and I was really hopeful this was going to happen, was that they were going to put a lazy river in Hideaway Beach. And the lazy river is nowhere to be found in the sketches. That did not make the final cut, apparently, which is disappointing to me because I love a lazy river. I love getting in an inner tube, floating around, enjoying a virgin pina colada. Sounds like an amazing time to me, but that's not going to be the experience they're going to have at Hideaway Beach. Didn't make the final cut. That would have me more inclined to pay the money for it, but alas, it is not there. Ashley, Baja Bay. I've been there a few times, and I do like Baja Mar. Baja Mar's Baja Bay, make sure I don't get the tongue twister wrong there, is a really nice experience. They do offer day passes now. A while ago, not that long ago actually, you had to actually have a hotel room reservation to be able to access Baja Bay. And it is a nice water park. I think that my personal thoughts is it's nicer than Atlantis is down the street, the opposite direction. Atlantis to me is just a little dated. It's a little tired. This feels a lot more fresh, feels newer. I do enjoy Baja Bay, and I think that it is at a cheaper price than Atlantis, though they both go tit for tat most of the time. We talk about Solarium being 16 plus, 18 plus. I don't feel like it's really enforced that much. That could just be a freedom of the seas thing. But I'm constantly seeing people that do not meet that qualifier in the solarium, especially in the hot tubs of the solarium. I wish that it probably would be a little bit more enforced, but I think a lot of new cruisers who Royal Caribbean's appealing to right now honestly just don't know that the solarium is 18 plus to be able to enter in, or 16 plus. I don't even know what the action is because the sign is on the sliding door when you're walking in, and we're so out of tune with reading signs because most of the time it's advertisements, it's marketing. I don't think most people ever even see the sign that say that it's adults only. But hopefully, they'll start to enforce that a little bit more. I wouldn't hold your breath on that. I think Royal Caribbean is becoming more of a family cruise geared towards kids every single day. Very impressed, Sid Cruz, that you got the inaugural sailing. That will be a wonderful time. Let's see. Dina, welcome. Always see you in the comment section as well. That's kind of how my entire life operates, is how much am I paying for this and how many cruises could I go on if I didn't have that experience? Everything to me is in the price of how much would it cost a weekend cruise? Like if I'm paying $2,000 to get a cabana, that to me is 4 to 5 weekend cruises that I could go on. That's crazy. That's 12 to 15 additional nights of cruising that I could do. But again, everybody's value system and what they deem appropriate is all a little bit different. Let us know what you think of it then, Ashley. If you're going over to Baja Bay at Baja Mar, they also have some really good restaurants at Baja Mar. The best restaurants on the island actually are held in their hotels that they have there. It very well could be competing, Lucy's mom, on, when you go on Virgin Voyages, their Bimini is going to feel a little bit like this, though. I'm thinking back to the times that I've been to the beach club at Bimini, and I don't remember it being that much of a party crowd. It was more relaxing, I felt like. I do remember a ton of jellyfish out there. That's the one thing that I remember. So it'll be interesting to see when I go back this time. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to make it there on Saturday and check it out to see if it is that beach vibe or not, or that party vibe. Be interesting to see. Yeah, Pam, by charging, that'll definitely keep out the younger crowd. Even though it's going to be 18 plus, I think it's going to help and weed out even your 20 somethings and probably a good portion of your 30 somethings. So it very well could wind up not being the party crowd if, only the people with disposable income, which we find traditionally are, people of a certain age, if you will. Not that I'm even close to being a part of that, but I would say that, we might see how that plays out. I would not advise against MSC. I actually, for the money, think MSC is a really solid cruise line, and they are actively competing for the market here in the Americas. I've got the Magnifica booked probably 8 to 10 times coming up. That's going to be my home ship in January, February, and March because she's doing weekend sailings here out of Miami. And I was booking her for $300. So I have not been on the Magnificent just yet. I do have a full walking tour of the Divina, which is a fine ship. I mean, reminds me of the Explorer, the Navigator. It's that kind of size of ship, maybe a wee little bit bigger. But I enjoyed it, especially for the money. Did the food blow me away? No. Does the food blow me away on Royal Caribbean these days? Also, no. So it's a good experience. It's a well-priced experience. If you want to make sure that you have an amazing time there, people swear by the Yacht Club on MSC. That is going to be their ship within a ship. It is their suite section. So you can check that out. That is something you do if you want to spend a little bit more money. But for $450 for 4 nights, all in, I mean, that's $105, $107 a night. That's a really good price. So I would book at least one of them, check it out, and if you like it, keep going back. I'm actually in October going to be on the seashore. So I'm going to be previewing one of MSC's newer ships, which I'm super excited about because I know that the ones they have doing the weekends are they're some older ships for them. So I'm excited to get on one of their newer ships to see how they're trying to really compete against Royal Caribbean. I think those are doing it. They've also got the MSC America ship, World America, that's going to be coming out, very similar to their World Europa that came out in Europe recently, to see how that's going to do. They're even building a brand new cruise terminal here. I think it's called AAA, AAA. It is the one that's going to be right before Royal Caribbean's Terminal A, where MSC is building so that they can get their mega ships into Port Miami as well. So a lot more coming there. Pam, no one at all am I calling old on this one by any stretch. I do not want to get my hand slapped on that. If anything, I'm kind of pointing the finger back at myself on, it's people like me and, an older crowd, I think, that have some of that discretionary income that are going to want to pay for some of those things. So was not meaning to say that. By the way, hopefully see you on the weekend cruise, group cruise soon as well. All right, let me come back over to some notes here. So the next thing that I wanted to kind of talk through was the stuck cruise ship. This honestly is kind of a dream of mine, to be stuck on a cruise ship. I mean, I think about these people's experience. You were on a luxury cruise liner and you had a soft landing in some mud. There was probably very limited damage to how the ship got stuck. By the way, this is the Ocean Explorer I'm talking about here. I should give you some background on it. The Ocean Explorer is a luxury cruise ship, and I was trying to find some information on it. It looks like she's owned by a Florida company called Sunstone, but it's currently on charter with Aurora Expeditions. And so I didn't even realize that there's apparently people that own cruise ships that just kind of rent it out when somebody needs a cruise ship. I mean, that sounds like a good time to me. But it only holds about 140 people. It is a small cruise ship, and it is a luxury cruise ship. These people probably paid $15,000 to $20,000 per person for a week and a half to 2 weeks. Things that I can only dream of right now. Pam, I don't have that kind of money. I can maybe pull away Hideaway Beach, but I can't quite go on the Aurora Expedition cruise just yet. But it looks like a wonderful time. And so I looked at some of the pictures on where this cruise ship got stuck. It was up in the Norwegian fjords, which I hear, I've never done them yet, give Alaska fjords a run for their money. And so they literally just went up into some shallow area. They got stuck on some mud, no rocks. It just kind of got, sitting on top of it. And they walk out of their cabins and they can see beautiful glaciers, beautiful nature in Norway. And it looked like a wonderful spot to be stuck. If you had to be stuck somewhere, much better than being stuck, not to throw NASA under the bus, but looking back at Nassau, looking at Freeport, for instance, this was a wonderful place for them to actually be stuck. Number one, they didn't hit a rock, they did mud. So it is like the best case of a bad scenario for them to go through. And they're probably going to wind up getting some refunds, and people are going to tell them, oh, like, we had to cut this short, and they're going to get back probably a good bit of money. And normally the food on these sailings, it's supposed to be incredible when you go on these luxury cruise liners. because they still focus on 5-course meals, 9-course meals at every single dinner. I didn't see what the dress code was for this. Oftentimes you'll find it being much more formal, but it looked like a wonderful, wonderful time there. This ship actually, it is owned by a Florida company, and I was trying to piece this together on why the Danish were coming to their aid. I don't know if they were the closest to them or not, but it was a Danish maritime group, Navy group, that actually was able to come to their aid and help them get unstuck. I think Aurora Expeditions is a Danish company, or somebody in here is a Danish company, which is why the Netherlands got involved and were the ones deployed to come and unstick this ship. And so what they normally do in cases like this, where it's on water, they'll bring some ballast, some balloons of some kind, and during high tide, they're going to let the water already rise up as much as it can, throw those balloons on there, get it up a little bit higher, and then allow her to sail away. So she sailed from there directly into a port so that they could have some scuba divers go underneath, check out the hull, make sure that there is no damage to the cruise ship. But again, I mean, if you're going to be stuck on a cruise ship like a luxury cruise liner, there are worse things that could happen to you. I mean, it's kind of a dream of mine for something to happen and, oh, we can't come back into port. Like, I'd hate to call my office on Monday and be like, sorry, I'm stuck at sea. I can't work. Boo. I know that I am probably very, not like a lot of people in this, but it sounds like something that I would really enjoy. It's just getting to stay on a cruise longer. And Royal Caribbean normally always gives you a little bit of money back to be able to stay on their cruises longer because you apparently had a bad experience. So I know it does not work out like that for everybody. There's some people that have to make it back to their job, to maybe a family member they're caring for or something like that. But, when you go on a cruise, let this be a lesson. And we've seen this happen to a lot of folks. Always go with the knowledge that you might not make it back when you think you're going to make it back. It could be cut short. It could go longer, especially with us in hurricane season. Things can come up that could cause you not to be able to make your cruise port to come back at the right time. They also, and I found this interesting, all the articles that I was reading about this always mentioned the 3 people with COVID on the cruise ship. And I don't know if COVID and cruise ships will always just go hand in hand from a public relations perspective, that anytime something's going to happen to a cruise ship, the first question everybody's going to ask is there COVID on board? It's 2023 at this point. There is COVID everywhere. If there is a cruise ship that is out there and you're going on it, I promise you there is COVID on that cruise ship, that people are still getting COVID. One of my family members even had COVID 2 weeks ago. Luckily, we were all out of town for that, but they had COVID again. So it is still out there. It is still going around. And, luckily everybody was fine. Even those folks that had it, I think, had mild cases they reported. But I think that because of the horror stories that came out with COVID and cruising back when COVID initially came out, I think that they're always going to be interlocked in the media's eyes. And we're going to talk about it. You don't really hear norovirus mentioned any. Norovirus is still out there, and it was out there pre-COVID. You don't hear about it as much, but I promise you there are still ships that struggle with norovirus as well. So please wash your hands when you go on a cruise ship. Take the right precautions to protect yourself if you need to, and hopefully protect others along the way. All right, so let's come back over here to the comments. Let me get some water. My throat's starting to go out on me a little bit. Hey, Purple Queen from New York. Welcome to the chat. Dino. Timing with kids is really a good call out there, Dino. If you were going in the summer or you're going in spring break, fall vacations, know that you're going to have a ton of kids. I have not had the opportunity to go into a Cunard sailing just yet. I have been on one of their old ships that they've got. I think it's the Queen Elizabeth that they've got operating as a hotel out of Dubai. And so when I was there in port a few years ago, I swung by and saw that ship, which was beautiful. Sig, you are with me. I too would kind of enjoy being stuck on the cruise ship. I think that would be a really, really neat experience. And it always makes for good stories as long as everything goes well. Like I don't want people to get injured or to feel poorly, but I want to make sure that everybody is all right and that it goes well. All right, let's see here. It looks like there's more comments, but it looks like my screen froze a little bit, or maybe there's not more comments. Scrolls up. All right, so no more comments, it looks like, on that. So with that, I want to share something fun with you all. So I was in the news, yep, thanks, Lisa. I see the test. I got into the news, which is super exciting. I didn't expect it to happen, but I got an email out of the blue from USA Today. And so I have now been quoted in USA Today. Link down below if you want to check it out and read the article. But, they wanted to talk about cruise etiquette. And I worked with Nathan, who is the writer of this article, who sent me initially an email and said, hey, we'd love to just chat with you about cruise etiquette. We see that you have a channel. It looks like you go on a lot of cruises. Let's chat about cruise etiquette. And that is something that I don't want to say that I'm passionate about cruise etiquette, but it's something that I certainly recognize how it evolves, how it changes. And I was more than glad to be able to pull up with him. I think that if I had to guess, I imagine he found me through the elevator etiquette video that I made. You all may remember that it was a tongue-in-cheek, like funny style video, but basically said, if you're using an elevator on a cruise ship, here's how you use an elevator on a cruise ship. Like you need to stand to the sides, let people get off first, then get on, use your manners, say, excuse me, all that great kind of stuff. And so I think that he probably found that and reached out to me to give some quotes on cruising etiquette. Glad to do that because it is a little bit different. There's things that we have to deal with on a cruise ship that is a little bit different that you might not have to deal with when you are on land or at a hotel. It's a little bit different. And so the first thing that came to mind for me again was elevators. And so that's one of the main things that I was quoted in the article on. In the travel section of USA Today, I still am kind of very humbled that that even happened and that I made it into a publication of that size. But elevator etiquette, you all, like I've seen more fights start. And I say fights, I'm using the term loosely, probably more verbal altercations from elevator etiquette gone wrong than anything else. There's just something about elevators. It's almost like road rage. Like when you're in your car, you're much easier to get riled up or, get upset about something. I think it's the same when you get into elevators or you're waiting for elevators. They're not the most efficient. They're not the best experience. And they're not designed for everybody to get on the elevator at the same time. There's 3,000, 4,000 people on your ship with you, if not more. There's not enough elevators to go around. And I think it really grinds people's gears. It pushes people's buttons when things don't go the way that they want it to on the elevator. And so we got to chat through that. And that's where I got quoted a good bit. And the second part that I got quoted on was, and this is one that I think a lot of first-time cruisers just don't realize, just moving something out of my way here, is balcony etiquette. So, and I didn't even go into, let's say, the obvious things, but don't smoke on your balcony. That's not appropriate. Don't smoke. That can get you in a lot of trouble and even get you kicked off the ship. You don't want to do that. But people do it still. Didn't talk about that one. What I did talk about, though, is the noise on balconies. And so if you've gone on a cruise, you probably know that when you're on your balcony, you kind of feel like it is your own private balcony, that you can go out there, you can enjoy it and enjoy it the way that you want to. And I'm not saying that you can't. And that was something that in the interview, I was like, look, I'm not saying you can't do certain things. I'm just saying be mindful when you're doing certain things. If you are on your balcony of a cruise ship, people 3 and 4 rooms in every direction of you, if not more, are going to hear your entire conversation. So if you are playing your music, if you are watching a movie, I know people that do that on the balcony. I'm going to watch that movie with you, or I'm going to hear that movie at least. I might not be able to see you, but I'm certainly going to be able to hear the dialogue, what's going on. If you're on the phone and you're on speakerphone, I'm going to hear your conversation. If you are talking with the person and you're having discussions, I'm also going to hear the conversation. So I'm not saying don't talk on your balcony. I'm not saying don't enjoy your music. I'm saying if you want, bring your headset just to be cautious so that everybody else doesn't have to hear the music if you don't want them to. And the second thing that I'm saying is make sure that if you're having a conversation on your balcony, that you know that you're having it to a public audience and that others are listening to it. Prime example of this is 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, the people in the cabin beside of me found out that they were pregnant, weren't anticipating it. Sounds like the husband wasn't really on board with it just yet. He was getting there. But they were basically hashing this out on the balcony. It was a very civil discussion, but basically they had been surprised by a marriage, or not a marriage, by a birth or pregnancy. And so I'm not sure if they had even discussed it with family members. And they're talking about this out on the balcony of their cruise ship, where people like myself are very privy to that. And for some reason, I feel like when people get into arguments, oftentimes they'll happen on the balcony. People start yelling. I have heard more arguments from the balcony than I can shake a stick at. Just know that other people are hearing those conversations. We're hearing that argument. And we're probably going to see you again on the cruise ship. And we might recognize the voice. We might not be able to see you, but we're probably going to recognize your voice at that point. So just make sure that your conversations are appropriate. And if you do run into somebody, that you're not going to have a uh-oh kind of moment in what they were talking about or what you were talking about. You don't want to be embarrassed by it. So if you don't want to have that conversation in public, don't have it on your balcony. So Pamela, the new duff, which is a Bahamian dessert, I don't think that it would be considered a pastry, but it's indigenous to the Bahamas. It was the new duff. It is just on the other side of the fish fry or aroake, and it is really, really good. I hope that for the group cruise, we're going to get to go over there as well. That's something that I've got on my plans that hopefully we can make it there. Andrew, you are way too kind in this one. I don't know that famous is the right word for it yet. I think I'm just somebody who happened to make a video on elevator etiquette. So when the gentleman searched cruise ship etiquette, I was one of the people that popped up. I don't know that that would be famous per se. Maybe one day. I mean, I don't even know. That just seems so weird to me to think of myself in that kind of light, but we will see. Ashley, let them know if you do go over to the new duff that Brandon says hello. I'm glad that you all are seeing the video and that you see how much I enjoyed their food. There's somebody that just left a comment recently. They went and had breakfast there, it looked like. Their food is really, really good, you all. And their price to be in Nassau is also a good price. If you do get a chance to go to the new duff, is what it's called. I highly recommend it. You know, people, Tesla, have no idea that you can hear things in the balcony, or that if you go out there to knock the sand off of your shoes and you're banging it up against the railing, which is what I tell myself most people are doing, it's going to reverberate throughout all the metal on the ship, and it's going to be heard in a lot of different places. And I honestly, genuinely think that people are truly oblivious to how their sound carries when they're on their balconies. I don't think they're out there intentionally trying to have me hear their conversations or, you know, anything like that. But it's always interesting to me. I do the benefit of the doubt on it, but that's what I think. So Stephen's calling out another great point on balcony etiquette is, you know, when you're out at sea, most of the time people aren't going to be see inside of your balcony. So you do have what I like to call visual privacy. However, your neighbors can do a little bit of a reach around. They can do a little bit of a peekaboo, and they can absolutely, if they're standing all the way up and leaning out to look out and they just look to the side, they will see into your cabin. So you may think that you have visual privacy, but you don't always have visual privacy even then. But one thing that a lot of people forget, and I think this goes for hotel rooms on land as well, is that if you are in a port and you are facing the port from your balcony room or even your ocean view room, people in the port can look up and see into your room, especially if you have the lights on and it's nighttime. We can see your balcony and we can see through into your room as well. So make sure whatever you're doing, whatever you're walking around in is appropriate for those people on land, or you just don't mind people on land seeing you. I don't know that it's a crime per se, but you just want to be mindful that somebody can probably see your actions and what you look like in that exact moment. So very good call out there, Stephen. You know what? I'd love to put it in the actual article. I need to email the guy and see if it actually went into the print edition of USA Today. I know it's in the online edition. So click on the link down in the description again. Give him some love on the article that is there. I thought it was very well done. I think they probably have comment sections as well that you all, like Stephen, if you wanted to add your comment, I think it would be very appropriate to add that to what else happening. Joining the Sea Level Club. I think I know what you're talking about here, like the Mile High Style Club. I am confident that people do this. I am confident people do this. I can't say to what degree. I've never seen anybody myself personally in the act of doing this, thankfully. But I have certainly heard stories that, yes, people do this. So great call out. So let me transition over to Greece. So Greece was interesting. It wasn't necessarily the cruise that we signed up for. They were having really bad weather. So this was a cruise with my mom and my niece, who's 16, going on 17 on the 22nd. So just coming up this week. So it was a Christmas gift I gave to her about 2 years ago. I said, look, you can go on a cruise anywhere you want to, anywhere in the world, as long as it's not in the Caribbean. I don't want to take you to the Caribbean. I want to get you outside of the US and outside of the Caribbean. Where do you want to go? She wanted to go to Greece. And so we were able to make this happen, get her over to Greece. We were initially supposed to start out in Kotor, Montenegro, and we did not make it there because they had really high winds and it was a tender port. So we did not make it into Kotor, which was unfortunate. However, we did continue on. We made it into Corfu, Greece, into Athens, as well as to Mykonos. And then our Argostoli Greece trip was also canceled. So 2 out of our 6 ports were canceled. Argostoli was actually a pier. They had a pier we could come up to, but even with the winds, we couldn't make an approach to get in there. However, we were very fortunate to be able to go into Dubrovnik. And so we switched into Dubrovnik Dubrovnik, Croatia. So we added a different country, different entire place to go to. But we went there and had a blast. And I've got some pictures here. Let me stop sharing the comment real quick so you can see these pictures. But it was a wonderful time. So these are going to go through fairly quickly. But, we did fly had to sail out of Ravenna. And so we flew into Bologna, closest airport, and then took the train over to Ravenna. They've got a train from the airport to the train station that moves you on to Ravenna. And we had a really easy experience getting there. We saw a lot of shows on the Explorer of the Seas. We had Tornado Tanya, the cruise director there, who is always a fantastic time. She is a ball of energy that I just don't know how she does it. Here we're in Corfu. Corfu has a downtown that is a maze. It's got some old churches, but we got lost. We almost missed our bus coming back because we honestly didn't know which direction to go. We got lost. GPS was not working the way I needed it to there because the buildings are so close together, but it was beautiful. We then went over to Athens. And so you see us at the Parthenon. We went up there with an excursion. Do recommend an excursion through the ship because if you try to just go buy a ticket, you're not going to make it in. So I don't recommend that. But it is the highlight of what you want to do in Athens. You also went to Mykonos, which was absolutely beautiful, though a little bit smaller than I thought it was going to be. Mykonos is not that big, and there are people everywhere. We didn't even go in season. We went in September. So I can only imagine what it would be like with 10 times more people there. It would be crazy, I'm sure. But the downtown area there was beautiful. And then we got to go to Dubrovnik, Croatia, which was my favorite port. My niece also kept saying, it looks like a Universal Studio picture lot. I mean, it does not look real because it is so old. It's also the home of Game of Thrones. So where you saw Game of Thrones being filmed, a lot of that is here. They even have a city in Game of Thrones called Dubrovnik. It was just absolutely gorgeous. We did not get an excursion in Dubrovnik. It was planned the last day. We simply went, had some food. They had a beach that we looked at, but there was a lot of stairs there that we didn't really want to mess with. Had some great food, had some crepes. And you see here, I am cruise ship spotting. That is a Windstar ship that I would love to go on. I love the look of Windstar, but not quite within my price point just yet. and back in Bologna here, where we had some fried bread on the right with the cheese, which was amazing. It was $5. It was one of our favorite things. It's like a puffed shell of bread, and we're still talking about it to this day on how good that was. So the trip, I would say, was very much so a success. We had a blast going on it. But, we learned how to be flexible. One of the videos I'm going to make is, hey, you're going on a cruise? Know that your ports could be canceled. Literally 2 of our 6 ports were canceled. We were very, very fortunate that they were able to get us into another cruise port. I told my family when they canceled our last one, I was like, they're telling us they're going to try to get us into another port, but you can't just bring, 3,000 people into a city and into a cruise port on a whim the next day or the day after. And they were able to do that for us here. The Explorer does 2 different itineraries. So luckily, Dubrovnik is on the 2nd itinerary that they do. So they just called up their port agents, their people that work there, and said, hey, can we come in? Can you handle our people? They had excursions, they had tours, everything lined up. They had shuttle buses in Dubrovnik that took us into the downtown. I think they were like $20, but it was the absolute easiest thing to do. And we walked ourselves around. We didn't really feel like we needed a tour guide there. Their old town of Dubrovnik was very close together, but it was good. So that was the Greece trip. It was really, really good. Not the trip we necessarily thought we were going to be going on, but we had a wonderful time. I was really impressed, I'll say. So my mom and my niece had never done a time change like that before. So we were 6 hours in Italy, 7 hours in Greece, and they did really good. They were troopers. We were all like drinking coffee like nobody's business, of course. I love coffee in the first place, so I don't need anybody to twist my arm. But we had a really good time. Everybody got used to the time zones. We're still doing some adjustments as we come back. I think, up until last night, I've been falling asleep at 9:30 every single night, waking up at 6. So I'm slowly getting back into the hang of it, but we had a really good time. So if you have not done a Greece cruise, I don't know that I call a Greece cruise a Mediterranean cruise. We were vaguely in the Mediterranean, more in the Adriatic Sea, but it was a beautiful time. I liked it a lot more than I liked my Western Mediterranean cruise that did La Spezia, did Italy, Spain, France, those ports, because they were just too resorty-like and not a lot of stuff to do. Over in Greece, Croatia, Montenegro, there's a ton of stuff. It's more history, more things to look at. And they've also got amazing beaches on top of that. We never got a good beach day because the weather was, I mentioned earlier, horrible. They had Storm Daniel coming through. So they named their storms over this. So Storm Daniel. It's also the same system, interestingly, that caused all the devastation in Libya that moved down into their country. And it was a lot of wind, a lot of rain, several days. We didn't get that when we were in port. It was cloudy, overcast. The only time we got really poured on was in Athens. And luckily we saw the storm coming, and so we ducked into a pizza shop to be able to enjoy ourselves, grab some food. I had a lot of pizza on this trip, and it was really good pizza, by the way. But it rained for about an hour and a half of rain like I have not seen in a while. We're still sitting outside. They had these massive umbrellas that we were sitting under. And so we stayed a little bit dry, but the street filled up with water. There was like 3 inches of water underneath our feet at that point. So we had to prop our feet up to stay out of the flash flood waters. And it was just water flowing everywhere. People were drenched in this rain. And it lasted like that for an hour and a half. So we just stayed there. We ate. We were in the, what do they call it? La Perez, something like that, which was like their shopping food area in Athens. Great place just to walk around if you want to buy stuff. They've got some normal shops there. I found something that I really liked. So you'll probably see a green shirt coming to a YouTube video soon that I bought there for like 40 euros. Not a bad price, I thought. So I grabbed it up because you're not going to find stuff like that over here. And I love being a little unique sometimes. That's one of my things I like to do is find cool looking, bright clothing while I'm traveling. But Pam, we had a great time. So thank you for asking about that. I did want to get to it. And I figured out how to do the slideshow in the live broadcast here. So I'm impressing myself. Thank you all for the picks. Those are a few of them. And a lot of this, I'm going to turn into some YouTube videos. So there's one that's going to be, know that your cruise port can be canceled, just warning people that you think you're signing up for these. So if you have your heart set on going to one specific port, you might not make it in there. There's some ports that, are a little bit more easier to cancel, I think, or more reasons why they might be canceled, but it could happen. I mean, unfortunately, we saw the Panama sailing that they canceled the Panama crossing. I think they said 700 people canceled that cruise because they were no longer doing the Panama Canal. And I don't blame them. If you signed up for that and you're just going to normal Caribbean islands, but you got to fly all the way to Panama to get on your cruise ship, doesn't make sense. If you're not getting that high-end experience, so things happen, things go bump in the night. It's unfortunate, but when you sign up for a cruise, I think you just need to be aware of that and be cautious of that. Yeah, it's crazy that people just don't think about these things. You can't just go into a port. Like, you have to have a pilot to get you in. You've got to have people to staff it, to tie up the ship, to work it. There's all these logistics. And fortunately, Royal Caribbean was able to pull it out in our case. And quite frankly, I loved the new port that they added. So I was super thrilled that they were able to do that. So that is all the talking points that I had for today. I'll open it up. Just what do you all want to talk about? I always like ending with like a Q&A session to see if there's anything on your mind. You may be looking at going on a cruise and want some advice. See how you can maximize your experience, whether that's Royal Caribbean, which we talked a lot about today, or it's MSC, Virgin, Celebrity. I'm getting more familiar with Celebrity. I've got cruises coming up on them. I think they've got a 4-night, and they've got some weekend sailings that I'm booked on as well coming up. But more importantly, I'm very excited to be going to Asia in December on Celebrity. So I will be on the Celebrity Solstice, I think, for another 12-night sailing from Singapore all the way up to Hong Kong. And so I think that that's going to be a really, really wonderful cruise. Once again, super excited for it. Decided not to go in ARA class? No, that's MSC. The not concierge class, but there's one step up. I'm blanking on my words here, where you get the restaurant blue, all that with Celebrity. We decided not to do that this time. When we looked at the prices, we said we don't really need that. Like, the main dining room restaurant was absolutely fine when we got the food from there. And so we're doing just a traditional veranda or balcony cabin for this sailing. So super excited to be going back to Asia to check that out. Pam, great question. When is everyone's next cruise? Mine is Wednesday. So hopefully you all aren't waiting too long. This is a Wednesday 4-night on Virgin Voyages, and then I'll go to Freedom the weekend after, but super excited. But yeah, let me know, where's everybody going? What ships? Anybody coming to Freedom coming up? Let's see. John, do I have travel insurance? And have I had a good or bad experience? I do have travel insurance, but I don't have, I'll call it the traditional travel insurance. And I just renewed this week, so I just took a look at it. So for me personally, when I think of the travel insurance I'm buying, I don't need all the bells and whistles. I don't want, if I have a lost bag, if, I'm not able to make the cruise or cancellation, some of those can run you $50 to $100, $200 a pop to be able to get some high-end insurance. For me personally, I am the most concerned, as I think most people are, on medical issues at sea or in a port somewhere. And so because of that, I have bought a medical-only travel policy. And so it's through a company called GeoBlue, who I am actually a huge fan of. And I think it was $175. It is what I paid for me. And it may be based on age and some other things, but it is a multi-trip policy. I can go on as many trips as I want to for that $175 within my 12-month period, and they will cover me for any medical issues. My primary insurance will kick in first. Where it does not, they will kick in to cover, major evacuation. If I need a helicopter, if I need to be returned to the US for some reason, medically, they will cover the cost to do that. And so that is the biggest fear that I have, and I'm willing to insure that. I don't really care if I miss my suitcase. I'll go to the logo stop, buy 2 outfits, we're good. And I'm most of the time going to make the cruise, rarely, outside of the passing of my father. And I'm not even sure that, they would have allowed me to cancel those cruises that I had there. I have never just missed a cruise for what would have been a covered reason. If work comes up and I just have to travel on Friday or Monday, I have had to cancel it for that, but never, when I've had the opportunity to get there, has something come up and I have not made it to the ship. So I use GeoBlue for medical only. It's a really reasonable price. The only stipulation they say is you can't be gone for, I think it's like 70 days at a time, which clearly, I'm gone for 4 max. So that works really, really good for me and the price is right. So check that out if that's something that you're interested in, John. Adam, thank you. The Aqua class. I don't know why cruise ships always name things so close to each other, but it is the Aqua class on Celebrity that we are not doing. Honestly, you didn't really see the value in it, or that added value in doing the Aqua class. It would be nice, Penelope, if ships did not have to include that foreign port. It would give us a lot more options. If anything, when you go over to Asia, you will see a lot more cruises to nowhere. They will literally just take the spectrum of the seas out for 2-3 days. It'll go absolutely nowhere. It'll just go drive around in the Pacific and then come back to whatever port it was at the time. And it doesn't need to go to a foreign port. And I've been corrected on this. I always call it the Jones Act. Somebody told me the other day that it is not the Jones Act, it's something else. I think that was Michael, if you're still listening in. But we do have to go to a foreign port. So weekend sailings, this is where you see this the most. They're the shortest that are out there. Has to go to a foreign port. If it goes to Key West, it has to go to the Bahamas to come back. It's also the reason why all weekend sailings go to the Bahamas. Or if you're on the West Coast, you can go down to Ensenada, Mexico. But if you are going out of Miami, Port Canaveral, Fort Lauderdale, there is no other foreign port that is close enough that you can get to and back in 3 days. And so that's why we always go to Nassau, to CocoCay, because you are required by law to go to a foreign port before returning. It is a very dated policy. I don't even know why it's out there, but it is one that they have, and it drives me insane. I would love to have some cruises to nowhere, but that's not the country we live in. It is a country law or a federal law that they have to follow. I think it's part of a maritime bill, but that's where that comes from. For those who are not familiar with that policy, at least. So Dano, how do I describe my cruise personality? I describe my cruise personality as I go through phases. Somebody was asking me in the comments earlier this week, which by the way, I've now responded to all comments. When I was in Europe, I didn't respond to a single one. So I finally got through all of those. So you may see that I responded to several really quick, Dino. I know I got to some of yours. But my cruising personality, I go through phases. So it changes. Depending on the day, depending on the sailing, I will say, most of the time I'm extroverted. I enjoy meeting other people. I like seeing what everybody's doing, people watching. And then there's some days that I'm like, what? I'm kind of just going to stay in the room and read. Or, I'm going to let everybody else go to CocoCay and I'm going to stay here on the ship and enjoy to myself. My cruising personality is all over the place. It really just depends on, what the vibe is, who's on the ship. It can be anywhere, but it is a balanced personality, I'll say. So if I'm, going out there, meeting a lot of people on one day, the next day, I might choose not to do that. So we will see. But that's kind of my personality. It's all over the place. It's one that is open to meeting people, but not always in the mood to meet people sometimes. I think that's fair of most of us, probably. That and this, going on a Christmas cruise. That is fantastic. I do enjoy a Christmas cruise. I'll be out at sea for Christmas and New Year's this year too. That Asia cruise that I was talking about will be over the holidays. So I love being out at sea for the holidays. Adam, that's surprising here. The group cruise is the next one. Granted, at this point, it's only 40 some days away. As Andrew will remind us here, 47 days away. So excited to see you there. So for the stop in Nassau, is it worth the excursion to the private beach, or better just walk through the Newport and public beach? I will say this is on your beach style. Me personally, I think Blue Lagoon is a really good value. They took me over there. I made some videos on their VIP excursion, as well as the dolphin encounter, sea lion encounter. They've got all sorts of animals over there you can encounter if that's your thing. I think that their beach is a really good time. If you're going with kids as well, I think that the boat ride just adds something to it to get over to Blue Lagoon. It is an island. It's not that far away. It's just on the other side of Atlanta. So it's not a horribly long boat ride, but it is a beautiful area. The water is crystal clear. They serve food for you. It is a nice experience. If you are going over to Junkanoo Beach is the closest beach you can walk to enjoy the waters. The water is going to be clear, but it's going to be crowded. It's going to have people playing loud music. It's going to have a lot of younger people. It's going to have people, nagging you to buy things. It's going to have a lot of locals that hang out there. And so it's not ideal for everyone. If you want to stay within walking distance and you don't want that kind of vibe, I would recommend walking down towards the Fish Fry or Arawak Cay. And there's another beach just a little bit further down, and it's also going to be closer to good food that you can partake in while you're there. That would be where I personally, if you want to stay within walking distance. They've got a few other beaches, Cable Beach, and I forget the names of some of the other ones that are also really nice. But you're going to have to figure out the bus system or pay one of the vans, the shuttle vans, to take you to one of the beaches, and they charge a per person price for that. And so totally up to you on what you want to do. I am a big fan of the Blue Lagoon, their experience that they have there, or go to the second beach just past Junkanoo to enjoy a little bit quieter of a time there. Do I usually take advantage of Sea Rover? I do. So if I am paying for a cruise on Virgin Voyages, I do get their Sea Rover benefits, which recently they've even extended. So these have been a huge hit with everybody. And did I make a video on this? I think I did make a video on this a while ago, that the Sea Rover, the first time I went on Virgin Voyages, I missed all of my Royal Caribbean perks because I didn't get those over there. They then did a status match, which really, I think it only takes like 2 or 3 sailings to get into their program called the Sea Rovers. But I made it in, and it really solved a lot of the problems. Like I could get coffee and a few other things. That I think it's a really good program, the Sea Rovers program. They've now extended that because I think it's such a huge hit, and they haven't really figured out how to work their loyalty program. But I absolutely do take part in that. I like their program. Do the status match. There's a video that I've made on that. If you have status with another cruise line, they will match that for you. So your very first cruise you go over there, you can also be a Sea Rover and get those benefits as well. There we go, Stephen. Thank you. I knew somebody on here would know more than I do on this stuff. It is the Passenger Vessel Service Act, which requires cruise ships to go to a foreign port before returning to a U.S. port. It's similar to the Jones Act, which is the commercial ships, if I'm not mistaken, but it's the same kind of rule and regulation there. I think that that's absolutely right, Pam. A lot of people really just want to enjoy the ship. I love a good cruise ship. And it actually shows in all the YouTube videos that are out there. If you do a search of excursions or, a port video on YouTube, you all don't even watch those videos. You don't care. You want to know about the ship. You want to know about the food. You want to know about the layout. You want to know what's happening on your ship that you're getting ready to go on, not the port that you're getting ready to go to, unless it's an interesting port. But most of the time, you don't get that. Do I get overwhelmed with people recognizing me when I'm on a ship? Interestingly, it started happening on land now too, which is very odd for me. I was at a work function for my full-time job back in June, and I had a coworker of mine come up and be like, "So, do you have a YouTube channel?" And all of a sudden, like 3 or 4 people were like, "Oh my God, that's you!" That one kind of freaked me out a little bit because my two worlds, my work world and my YouTube world, had started colliding a little bit. But that was weird. But on the cruise ship, when I'm in, I'll call it my natural habitat, and you all know that if you see me on Freedom the Ship, there's a good chance that it's probably me. I'm totally fine with that. And people have been super respectful. I met somebody on even the Explorer of the Seas. I think I probably had 5 or 6 people on the Explorer of the Seas recognize me. And one woman, Carol, even came up and she was like, "Do you have a YouTube channel?" Like I said, "Oh yeah, yeah." And she was like, well, this just isn't a weekend sailing. It's a 7-night Mediterranean cruise. So I didn't think that it was you. And so I think I throw people off a little bit when I go to other ships, but I get recognized a good bit these days. And I end all my videos with, I hope to see you on a weekend sailing soon. And I do love meeting everyone from the channel. I think that that's one of the highlights is it automatically gives me the ability to be able to say hi to people or people be able to say hi to me and strike up a conversation, get to know someone, hear their story. And so, Pam, I love when people recognize me on the ship and actually say hello. I've gotten a lot of comments too on, hey, I saw you, but didn't get a chance to say hello. I always hate those like missed opportunities to get to know someone because I really do enjoy meeting you all and building those connections. And I think that's one thing I love about the group cruise that we do. And the one coming on November 3rd is going to be no different than this, is I see all your names here. You know, Pam, I see your name. I get to know you in person when you come on group cruises and I make that connection. It's no longer just a name on YouTube, which I love. I still feel like I have relationships or friendships with a lot of you here that comment a lot, but it is a whole nother ballgame when I can now say that I've met you in person and I've gotten to know you, whether that is a chance encounter because we just both happen to be on the same ship, or we are both on the group cruise and we all get to know each other. That is a really, really neat touch that I love about people recognizing me and going on the group cruise is the relationship almost becomes real, if you will. It's no longer just this YouTube land kind of world within the comment section, but it is, I actually know this person. I know what they look like. I've shook their hand. I gave them a hug. I think that, you know, I really enjoy that. So I don't get overwhelmed with it at all. If you see me drinking coffee, I might not be as talkative as I normally am, especially first thing in the morning. But for the most part, I love it. Penelope, Nassau, I can see where it scares people. It is certainly outside of the comfort zone. When I went to the New Duff, I walked there. If you were going by yourself, I'm not sure that I would necessarily recommend that. It is not a bad walk. It is probably 30, 45-minute walk. And it is a beautiful walk. You walk along the water actually for most of it. Past the fish fry, you get to see all the restaurants there. And then you go into a very small strip of land where you go on a sidewalk and cross the street, you're there. But I can see where you may be uneasy if you're going there your first time. So there's a few options. You can, number one, take the number 10 van. That's going to be leaving from just down the street of the cruise port. And it's like $1.25 or something very cheap to be able to take that. It's still probably going to be with a lot of locals, maybe some other people from the cruise ship heading up to Baha Mar. People would take it to go there as well. You can do that. They also have shuttle vans that they probably could drop you off on the way there if you want to do that, especially there's one heading towards Baha Mar. It is directly on the way to Baha Mar. So you could do that. Or you can try to make some friends and see if some people want to walk with you. I think there's always safety in numbers. It's not unsafe per se, but I can certainly see where I think that you would be uneasy if you were making that walk yourself. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I do recommend it. But if it's your first time over there, just to get comfortable with it, I would walk with a friend or someone else. Have I ever had a bad experience on a cruise? You know, Dino, I don't think that I've ever had a bad experience. I mean, every cruise that I've been on has been pretty wonderful experience. The time that I got the most upset on a cruise ship, and I don't know if this was my fault, whose fault this was, but it was when the cruise lines had just started back up and we were sailing out of Nassau. So it was the Adventure of the Seas was home ported there. And a friend of mine was also staying in Nassau and we had made plans to get together. And so I got to Nassau, flew in same day because it's literally like a 45-minute flight, took the risk, and went to the ship, got checked in, and then I went to leave the ship to meet my friend because we had made plans. He was at the port, ready to say hello, and they wouldn't let me off the ship. All aboard time was not for another, I think, 7 hours because I'd gotten on early, and they gave all aboard until like 9 o'clock or 6 p.m. in the evening so that everybody could fly in, and they wouldn't let me off the ship. And I was like, what do you mean I can't get off the ship? Like, we're in port, like it's right there. We're here for another 6 hours. They would not let me off the port. And I escalated that one pretty high because I felt like I had egg on my face because I told my friend we were going to hang out. And now I'm basically blowing him up. He also didn't have an international cell phone plan, so I couldn't text him. and tell them I couldn't come. So luckily, they heard me complaining about this. And there's actually a security guard from the ship that had to go to the end of the cruise port, outside of the cruise port, to tell my friend that I couldn't come out and say hello to him because I wasn't able to go out there. I think that's the most riled up I've ever been. But no, I don't think that. I'm trying to think of like a bad situation. I think that that's kind of the worst that has ever happened. I say that like there's another one, and I'm not going to go down this one too much because I've never shared about it much. But I did have one time that somebody in the cabin balcony directly beside of me was attempting to potentially jump, and so that was something that I had to deal with and work through, and was quite traumatic. And so I got to see how the cruise ship came together to address that kind of situation on the cruise ship. One of these days, I'm sure that I'm going to make a video about it, but it's a very raw topic for me that I don't get into very often. But that's probably the most traumatic and worst experience I've ever had on a cruise ship. Salmon, thank you. Hotspot Magazine, perchance, up in or down in Florida? Or just hotspot like the MiFi device? Gail, I miss you guys. Hope you and your husband are doing well. Met Gail in the Diamond Lounge at Freedom of the Seas. I love the Diamond Lounge, by the way. So being a Pinnacle member, you all know that we get into the Suite Lounge or Concierge Lounge. And meeting people like Gail is one of the main reasons I love going into the Diamond Lounge, because those are cruising people. Those are my people. They aren't just people that come, once or every now and again and sit in the Suite Lounge. So I don't really get very excited about going into the Suite Lounge. If I have friends in there, I'll go to the Suite Lounge. But the place that I feel the most at home at is in the Diamond Lounge. I love going into the Diamond Lounge because the people there, my kind of people, y'all are cruisers. And so I enjoy getting to know all of you. And Gail was one of those that I got to meet on Freedom of the Seas, Gail, like a year ago now, probably. So I still remember that. Brant, glad you made it over to the new Duff. I heard you had some guava and some of their cinnamon rolls. Sounded like an amazing time. I can't wait to get back over there as well. One thing, I actually have some new Duff guava in my freezer. They sell it that you can bring home. So I'll probably take a look at that and see if I can bring some home next time I go there and freeze it up. Brand, I think, this is a great question from Pam here, as well as Penelope was opening. What were your thoughts on walking over there? And you are commenting that not by herself. I would certainly agree with that, but with a friend, you can always do one of the cab or the shuttles. They are really good if you do have their phone number. They want to come back and get you because they know that you are a paid fare. So you can certainly do that. I think once you see it and you see what the walk is like, you might get more acclimated to it. But if you're not used to city living, like I'm a city liver, like I don't want a car. I walk around everywhere and I don't skier really easily because I've been around the block a few times, believe it or not. So I don't mind walking there. I like the exercise, especially on a ship, but it's not necessarily the wisest move if you're going by yourself. Yeah, I don't understand the pricing of the shuttles there. It is about $20 per person. I feel like regardless of where you're going. And if you are the only person, there was one time I was trying to come back from Atlantis. We were in port until midnight. And so I think that I'd gone over to the Atlantis to hang out for a little bit. And there was nobody else going back to the ship. It was just me. And I think the guy wound up charging me like $40 or $45 to take just me back to the cruise ship. They just make the numbers up as they go there. There's no set numbers all the time, especially if you're asking to go to a one-off place. If you want to go to Cable Beach, Atlantis, oftentimes to get there, they're going to be able to group you together with other people to keep that price down. But if it is just you going over there, they're probably going to stick it to you, unfortunately. All right, last call for questions. I've gone on for a while here. I think this is my longest live yet. I've missed you all. I haven't done a live in a while, so glad to do this. Going forward, every weekend, I'm going to be on a cruise ship. So I'm going to try to get back in the habit of doing a Sunday live. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to have good cell reception. I've still got my hotspot from the Bahamas. I've got my Google Fi account. especially if the reception on the cruise ship isn't great. The last time that I was on Freedom, like 3 weeks ago, it was throttled some kind of horribly. I was trying to use my computer and it wasn't moving at all hardly. But my phone, for whatever reason, worked wonderfully. It worked perfect. But anytime I switch over my computer, it was throttled. I don't know if that's intentional on their parts or not, but didn't really understand that. Also, if you're still here, go ahead and press the like button for me. I see many of you have already done that. It always does a great help to the channel on any of the videos that you see. Make sure that you are pressing that like button. Probably should have mentioned it before now. But in any case, that does do the channel a lot of good and a lot of favors. So greatly appreciated. So my favorite restaurants on Virgin Voyages. So Virgin Voyages, let's talk their food real quick for those who don't know, is fantastic. They have a different model, but their food is exceptional. And it is like a specialty restaurant only style model. So you do need reservations to go on into their restaurants. They open up the reservation tool 45 days prior to your sailing. So make sure that you're blocking that. Brant, looks like you've already done that. My personal favorite for sail away is the wake, because as the ship is leaving, you will have Miami in the backdrop, and it is just absolutely gorgeous to be able to sail away with Miami. You can look out. It's absolutely wonderful. They've got a really good fish there that I always gravitate towards that's really good. Was not a favorite of my mom's when we went, but that is a really good sail away place. My absolute favorite restaurant, though, on Virgin Voyages is Pink Agave. That is their Mexican restaurant or Latino restaurant, and it is wonderful food. It is an elevated Latin experience, and they even do agave or pink agave after dark. So if you're there at 10 o'clock, I don't know if that's every night, but it turns into a party crowd. They give you like a free shot. It is a really, really good atmosphere. It is a fun time. So if you have one night that you want to stay up a little bit later, I would say go to Pink Agave. It is such good food. The guacamole, the mole, it's fantastic food. Their specialty restaurants, or their non-specialty restaurants, their normal restaurants are better than Royal Caribbean specialty restaurants. You are going to pay a higher price to go over there. They're a premium cruise line, but their food is really, really good, Brent. You're going to love it. The other place I'll say, don't discredit the, what's it called? I'm blanking. What's their vegetarian vegan restaurant? I'm picturing it in my head. I can see the entrance to it, but I can't get the name of it. Don't discredit that restaurant. They've got really, really, really good food. They've got a fantastic brunch there, and their dinner is also really good. Their bacon there is something that me and my mom still talk about. Razzle Dazzle is the name of the restaurant. Thank you for that. Don't discredit that restaurant. It's really, really good. And even though it is vegan and vegetarian forward, their menu is going to lean with that. They're going to have some naughty items that you can get as well that will have some meat products in it. And there is a secret menu for dinner. Make sure you're asking about that. They'll probably just go ahead and tell you about it. Last time I went in there, she was like, so let me tell you about our secret menu. And it's basically just their specials at this point. But it is really, really, really good food. That is the main thing I think that you're paying for when you go to Virgin Voyages is their restaurants. They are fantastic. But make your life easy and make sure you have that reservation before you go. They fill up very quick. Getting reservations on the ship, you can do that, but it's just one more stressful thing you have to go through, and you don't want to have to do that. Penelope, make an experience of it. What I would say is if you want to try out the new Duff, definitely go there. But maybe walk back and do lunch at Arawak Cay at the fish fry, or just start at the fish fry. They've got some great places to eat there, like Twin Brothers. Start there, and then you can do a quick walk or take a look and walk up to the new Duff. That is a fairly short walk that you could do, and then take the cab back or the shuttle back. That might make your money go a little bit further, but $20, you can try to negotiate with them because, again, they just make these numbers up. That's not uncommon for Nassau. West Coast culture, would I recommend the test kitchen? No. The food in the test kitchen? No, just don't. Save yourself the trouble. If you like what is it, gastronomy and food science and, having a unique and different experience, yes, you can do that. The food is not going to blow you away. It to me, it's them really trying to just go over the top. All of their restaurants, I feel like, try to give you a unique and differentiated experience from what you're used to. So it's not just Mexican, it's like an elevated Mexican. But the test kitchen takes the cake. It is over the top unique and it is not that great. I feel like a lot of people wind up leaving the test kitchen and they go to the pizza place to get pizza afterwards. Their pizza there, by the way, is really, really good. You do have to order it, have it specially made for you, but it's good pizza. So I would, if you want to try it, it is an experience. It's certainly an experience. You're going to have some wow moments, but you're not going to be blown away with it like you think you will. And interestingly enough, I have never been to the Korean barbecue place yet because I've always gone by myself on Virgin Voyages and I have not done the Korean barbecue yet. That's going to change with this cruise. I've actually got someone going with me. And so the first thing that I did was make Korean barbecue reservations. So hopefully that will go well and I will not burn my food because you got to cook it yourself there. I just came back from South Korea in March, so I feel a little bit more prepared, a little bit more equipped on how to do this. We cooked our food over there a few times, got to watch others do this. So hopefully it'll go well. But that is one that I've not been to there yet. So I'm looking forward to doing that. But my favorite one is going to be the pink agave, followed by the wake for me personally, as well as Razzle Dazzle is actually really good. I like it too. Andrew, you're more adventurous than I am. If you did that as a solo cruise, it looks like a great time. You get sat with other people there, but you just never know who you're going to get sat with. Sometimes they're going to be amazing people, and sometimes they might not be. I have a feeling if you're on Virgin Voyages, though, you're all going to have something in common. You're all part of a community. You can figure it out. I just haven't felt that into going. Number one, I don't like cooking for myself, and I just didn't want to have dinner with other people and make that small talk. And their other restaurants are really, really good. The Italian restaurant there, it's Italian food. It's good Italian food, but it's just an Italian restaurant. I didn't see the elevated experience to the Italian. Oh, that, Adam, relieves me a lot to know that they actually cook the meats for us, so they'll come and turn it. A funny story, when we were in South Korea, me and my friend ordered, and they had us cook it. And they finally learned that we were burning it. We were like smelling the whole place up. And so they came over and started making it for us. So it was a really nice experience for them to do that. So I'm glad to hear that makes me actually more excited for going to Gunnaby now because I don't have to cook my own food. Pam, thank you for the $5. It is greatly appreciated. I always forget about the super chats and the super stickers, but they mean a lot to me. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right, last call for questions. Anything else on you all's minds? I'm having fun today. Thank you. You all are a good time. All right, I think that is it for today then. So I'll once again thank you all for coming and hanging out with me. Greatly appreciate it. This has been a good live. I've enjoyed it, getting to share my Greece trip with you, my thoughts on Hideaway Beach. It's been a really, really good time. Be looking for a lot more videos to come up. Got a lot of them scripted, just got to get them made in the production line. So those will be coming out hopefully this week. What's in my cup? It is just water, Dino. It is just water. Normally I'll do a Monster Energy drink with you all, but I had that earlier today. So I'm good to go there. All right, everyone. We will chat soon. And this is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser. Hoping to see you on a weekend cruise soon.